There's a moment. And you know the one I mean. When someone says something to you, and everything inside you wants to explode, your jaw tightens, your chest burns. Every word you could say back is already loaded and ready to fire. But you don't say anything. And later, lying in bed, you wonder, was that strength? Or was it weakness? 2,000 years ago, an emperor who commanded the most powerful army on earth asked himself that exact same question. And the answer he found in the silence of his own journal changed how millions of people deal with pain, anger, and loss to this day. This is not a history lesson. This is the reason you've been stronger than you think your entire life. And there's a second story in this video about a man who lost everything in a single afternoon and made one decision that most people who tell his story leave out. It's the hardest thing he ever did. We'll get there. Most people think Stoicism means not feeling anything. Being cold, hard, emotionless, like a wall that nothing can touch. That's not what it is. Not even close. Stoicism is the art of feeling everything. Every insult, every loss, every betrayal, and choosing, with full awareness, what deserves your reaction. It's not about shutting down. It's about waking up. Waking up to the fact that most of the suffering in your life was never caused by what happened to you. It was caused by your response to what happened to you. And that distinction, as small as it sounds, is the most powerful idea any human being has ever had. Think about it. Right now, somewhere in the world, two people are going through the exact same situation. The same loss, the same rejection, the same betrayal. One of them will be destroyed by it. The other will walk through it and come out on the other side somehow, stronger. Not because they're built differently, not because they don't feel the pain, but because they understand something about pain that the other person doesn't. That understanding has a name. It's over 2,000 years old. And it was forged, not in a university, not in a temple, not in a palace, but in the worst moment of one man's life. The people who carried this philosophy across centuries were not monks hiding from the world. They were emperors leading armies into battle, slaves whose bodies were broken by their own masters. Soldiers watching their brothers die, senators standing alone against tyrants. They lived in the fire, and they found, inside that fire, something that most people spend their entire lives looking for, without knowing what to call it. Inner peace. Not the kind you find on a meditation retreat. The kind you find when everything around you is falling apart and you realize, with absolute clarity, that you are not the chaos. You are the stillness inside it. That is what Stoicism actually is. And here's what I want you to understand before we go any further. The people who mastered this, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, Zeno, they were not superhuman. They were not born with some gift you don't have. They were broken, flawed, afraid, angry, just like you, just like me. The only difference is that they found a set of ideas so powerful that it turned their pain into their greatest weapon. By the end of this video, you will have those same ideas, not as abstract concepts, not as history, as tools you can use tonight. The next time someone disrespects you, the next time anxiety grips your chest at 2 a.m., the next time you lose something you thought you couldn't live without. And once you see it, once you truly understand what the Stoics understood, the way you respond to pain, to silence, to loss, to the chaos of being alive, will never be the same. This is the philosophy that turned slaves into the most free men who ever lived, that turned an emperor with unlimited power into a man who wrote, in secret, that the only real power is the power over your own mind. This is not self-help. This is not motivation. This is something far older and far more dangerous than that. Let me show you where it began.
Around 300 BC, in a world that looked nothing like ours but felt exactly the same, full of uncertainty, full of loss, full of people trying to figure out how to survive. There was a merchant named Zeno. Zeno was not a philosopher. He was a businessman. He traded in purple dye, one of the most valuable commodities in the ancient world. He had spent years, maybe decades, building his fortune, ship by ship, route by route, deal by deal. Everything he had, his wealth, his security, his identity, his future, was loaded onto a single vessel crossing the Mediterranean. And somewhere between Phoenicia and Athens, the sea took all of it. A storm, one storm. That's all it took. The ship went down, the cargo was lost, and Zeno, the man who had everything when the sun rose that morning, had nothing by the time it set. No money, no inventory, no insurance, no backup plan, no home to go back to. Just a man standing on a foreign shore, soaking wet, watching the ocean swallow his entire life. Now, I want you to pause here, because this is not just a story from 2,000 years ago. This is a feeling, you know. Maybe you didn't lose a ship, but you lost something. Something that felt like everything at the time. A relationship you thought would last forever. A job you built your identity around, a person you loved who left without explanation. A version of yourself that you can never go back to. And in that moment, that specific moment when you realize it's gone and it's not coming back, there are only two paths. Most people take the first one. They collapse inward. They blame the world. They replay the loss over and over, torturing themselves with what could have been, what should have been, what they would do differently if they could go back. Zeno took the second path. He walked into Athens, a city he barely knew, with nothing but the clothes on his back. And instead of looking for a way to rebuild what he had lost, he did something that no one expected. He walked into a bookshop, and he picked up a book about Socrates. But reading about Socrates wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part came later. A decision Zeno made that most versions of this story skip entirely, because it's uncomfortable. We'll come back to it. Right now, you need to understand what he found in that bookshop. who had been sentenced to death by his own city. A man who, in his final hours, refused to run, refused to beg, and instead spent his last night alive asking questions about the nature of the soul. Socrates didn't fight death. He didn't curse it. He sat with it. He looked it in the eye and said, "You have no power over who I am." And something inside Zeno broke open. Not broke apart, broke open, like a seed that has to crack before it can grow. He realized, standing in that bookshop with nothing to his name, that he had spent his entire life protecting things that were never truly his. His money could be taken, his cargo could sink, his reputation could vanish. But there was one thing, one single thing, that no storm, no thief, no god, no emperor could ever take from him. His mind, his ability to choose how he responded to what happened to him. That was his, that had always been his, and he had never even noticed it because he was too busy guarding everything else. He found a small porch in the center of Athens, a covered walkway the Greeks called a stoa, and in that stoa, with no money, no credentials, and no plan beyond the truth he had just discovered, he started teaching. His idea was simple, and it was devastating.
You cannot control what happens to you. The ship will sink, the person will leave, the body will fail, the world will take from you everything it has ever given you.
That is not a possibility. That is a certainty.
But you can control one thing, the one thing that matters more than all the rest combined. You can control how you respond.
And that single distinction between what is yours and what is not is the difference between a life spent suffering and a life spent in power. He didn't create Stoicism despite losing everything he created, because he lost everything. The philosophy could not have existed without the shipwreck. The wreckage was not the obstacle. It was the raw material. And here's the part that reaches across 2,000 years and touches your life right now. Whatever you've lost, whatever storm hit you, Zeno would look you in the eye and say the same thing he realized in that bookshop. The loss is not the end. It is the beginning. The only question is what you are going to build with what remains. But building it required Zeno to do something first, something most people never do. When they're in pain, we'll get to that.
So did Zeno actually teach in that small porch in Athens? What were the ideas so powerful that they survived the fall of empires, the burning of libraries, and 2,000 years of history? They weren't complicated. That's what makes them dangerous. They're simple enough to understand in 5 minutes, and difficult enough to practice for an entire lifetime. Here's the first one. And if you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, late for something important, a meeting, a flight, a date, a promise you made to someone you love. Your hands grip the wheel, your jaw tightens, your mind races through every worst-case scenario. What they'll think of you, what you'll lose, how this is going to ruin everything. Now, stop and ask yourself one question. the question every Stoic has asked for over 2,000 years. Can I control this? Can you control the traffic? No. Can you control the other drivers? No. Can you control whether you arrive on time? No. Can you control how you experience the next 10 minutes of your own life? Yes. Always yes. Epictetus, a man who was born into slavery, whose leg was deliberately broken by his own master as punishment, said that all human suffering comes from one place and one place only, not from the event. From wanting the event to be different from what it is. Read that again in your mind. Suffering does not come from what happens to you. It comes from the gap between what happens and what you wanted to happen. Close the gap, not by getting what you want, but by releasing the demand that reality obey your expectations, and the suffering loses its grip. This is not about giving up. It is about choosing where to aim your energy. Every moment you spend angry at traffic is a moment stolen from your own peace. Every hour you spend replaying an argument you cannot undo is an hour of your life you will never get back. The Stoics understood that your attention is the most valuable thing you own, and most people give it away to things they cannot change. Hold that thought, because the next weapon is the one that even emperors were afraid to admit they needed.
No. The second weapon is a journal. Not any journal. The most private document in the history of the Roman Empire. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man on earth, emperor of Rome, commander of the largest military force in the ancient world. He could order the death of anyone. He could reshape entire nations with a single decree. And every single night, after the advisors left, after the generals stopped talking, after the palace went silent, he sat alone in his tent, opened a leather-bound journal, and wrote to himself. Not strategies, not commands, not history. Reminders. Reminders to be patient with people who frustrated him. Reminders to not let praise make him arrogant or criticism make him bitter. Reminders that the people who insulted him today would be dead within a few decades. And so would he. Reminders that his anger, however justified it felt in the moment, was always a choice, and that he could choose differently. He never intended for anyone to read those pages. They were not written for publication, for legacy, for fame. They were written by a man who was trying, night after night, to coach himself through the darkness, in silence, by candlelight, alone. And those private pages became one of the most read books in human history. We call it Meditations. And inside it, there are 2 lines, just 2, that contain the entire philosophy in a single breath. We'll get to them, but not yet. The third weapon is the one that separates Stoics from everyone else. And it will sound, at first, like madness. Every morning, before the sun rose, the Stoics would sit in complete stillness and deliberately imagine the worst things that could happen that day. The death of someone they loved, the loss of their health, the destruction of their home, the betrayal of their closest friend. They called this practice premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Not to be pessimistic, not to live in fear, the opposite, to kill the fear before it could be born. Because fear is not created by the event itself. Fear is created by the shock of the unexpected.
Remove the shock by facing the possibility before it arrives. And fear has nothing left to feed on. This is why a Stoic could receive devastating news and respond with calm, while everyone around them collapsed. They had already lived through it, in the silence of their own mind at dawn. They had already sat with the worst. They had already felt it, accepted it, and let it pass. The shock was gone. The only thing left was the response. I know this sounds strange, maybe even a little dark, but stay with me, because this next part is not theory. This is something you can test tonight in your own bed in the dark, alone with your own thoughts. Before you sleep, try this, close your eyes. Picture the thing you are most afraid of losing. The person, the job, the health, the stability. Whatever it is that you guard most fiercely. Let it be gone. Not forever. Just for 60 seconds. Sit with the emptiness. Feel it. Don't fight it. Then let it go. Open your eyes and notice something strange. You're still here. You survived it. In your mind, you already lived through the worst. And you didn't break. The next time life actually tries to take it from you, and it will, because life always does, you will not be surprised. You will not be shattered. You will respond. Not react, respond. Because you've already been there, and you know the way through.
By the decision I said Zeno made. The one most versions of this story leave out. After the shipwreck, after the bookshop, after everything broke open inside him, Zeno had one more choice to make. He could have spent the rest of his life angry at the sea, blaming the storm, telling anyone who would listen the story of everything he lost. Instead, he made the harder choice. He never mentioned the ship again, not in his teachings, not to his students. He didn't build his philosophy as a reaction to his tragedy. He built it as if the tragedy had simply been the door, and once he walked through it, he stopped looking back at it. That's the part historians almost never emphasize. Zeno didn't just survive the loss. He refused to let it become his identity. And that's exactly what apatheia really means. Not pretending the storm didn't happen, just refusing to keep living inside it. Now I want to stop talking about history. I want to stop talking about emperors and slaves and ancient Athens. I want to talk about you. Because here is something I know about you. And I know it because you're still watching this video. People who don't feel deeply don't search for videos like this. People who aren't carrying something heavy right now don't click on a title that promises them they can become unbreakable. You're here because something in your life pushed you here. And that something, whatever it is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're paying attention. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a conversation where you knew, with absolute certainty, that you were right and you said nothing? You let the other person win, not because they convinced you, but because you realized that winning the argument would cost you more than losing it. So you swallowed your words and you walked away, and the world looked at that and called it weakness. Have you ever watched someone take credit for something you did? Your idea, your work, your effort, and instead of fighting, instead of making a scene, you just kept going. You let it happen, because making it a war wasn't worth the energy it would take.
and someone watching from the outside thought you didn't notice, or worse, that you didn't care enough to fight. Have you ever received a message, late at night, from someone you trusted, that made your stomach drop? The kind of message that changes everything, and instead of exploding, instead of calling back, instead of doing what every nerve in your body was screaming at you to do, you put the phone down, you stared at the ceiling, and you carried on with your life the next morning as if nothing had happened. The world is a collection of words for people like you. Passive pushover doormat. Too quiet, too patient, too forgiving. Not enough fire.
The Stoics had a different word. They called it apatheia, and before you think you know what that means, you don't. It doesn't mean apathy. It doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean you don't feel anything. It means the opposite. It means you feel everything. The anger, the hurt, the injustice, the urge to react. And you choose deliberately, consciously, with the full weight of your awareness, not to let it control you. Apatheia is not the absence of emotion. It is the mastery of it. And it is the rarest form of strength that exists. Every single time you chose silence when the world expected you to scream, you were not being weak. You were being stoic. You just didn't know it had a name. Let that land for a moment, because it matters more than you think. All those times you thought something was wrong with you, that you were too soft, too quiet, too willing to let things go. There was nothing wrong with you. You were practicing a discipline that emperors struggled with, that philosophers spent their entire lives trying to teach, that most people will never understand, because the world has trained them to believe that strength looks like noise, like aggression, like dominance, like fire. But the Stoics knew something the world still hasn't learned. Real strength is silent. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to win the argument. It doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. It sits in the center of the storm and does not move. Not because it can't, because it doesn't need to. There's a reason this video exists on a channel called Expansion of Consciousness. Because what the Stoics discovered 2,000 years ago was not just a philosophy. It was not just a set of ideas for managing emotions. It was an expansion, a fundamental widening of what it means to be human. Most people live their entire lives trapped inside a machine. Something happens. They react. Someone insults them. They insult back. Something breaks. They break with it. Stimulus. Response. Stimulus. Like clockwork. Like an animal. Like a system that has no room for choice. The Stoic breaks the machine. Between the stimulus and the response, they insert something invisible. Something that changes everything. A pause, a breath, a single moment of awareness where they step back from the fire and ask, do I want to burn with this? Or do I want to walk through it? And in that pause, in that silence between what happens and what you choose to do, you become something that no external force on earth can touch. Not because you're numb, not because you've turned off your feelings, but because you've realized something that most people never will. Your peace is worth more than their opinion. Your silence is worth more than their noise. Your stillness is worth more than their chaos. Silence is power.
not because you have nothing to say, but because you've chosen, freely, consciously, with your eyes wide open, that your inner world is not for sale, not to anger, not to revenge, not to the desperate need to be right, not to anyone. And history proves it, because the most dangerous people who ever lived were not the loudest. They were the quietest.
Marcus Aurelius ruled the Roman Empire for 19 years. Nearly 2 decades at the center of the most powerful civilization the world had ever known. He commanded armies that stretched from Britain to Mesopotamia. He survived plagues that killed millions. He buried children, his own children, and stood in front of the Senate the next morning as if nothing had happened. He fought wars he didn't believe in. He forgave betrayals that would have destroyed lesser men. He sat across the table from people who were actively plotting his death and treated them with patience. Not because he didn't know, because he chose not to let their darkness become his. He never raised his voice. History has no record of Marcus Aurelius shouting, no record of him losing control, no record of him punishing anyone out of anger. The most powerful man alive, and his weapon of choice was silence. And every night, when the empire was quiet and the candles were burning low, he opened his journal and wrote, not for fame, not for legacy, not for anyone but himself. He wrote because he was human, because the weight was heavy, because even an emperor needs somewhere to put the things he cannot say out loud. Epictetus was his opposite in every external way. A slave, no power, no title, no army, a man whose own body didn't belong to him, whose leg was broken by his master and never healed properly, leaving him with a limp for the rest of his life. And yet his master, the man who legally owned him, who could beat him, sell him, or kill him without consequence, was afraid of him, not physically, mentally, because Epictetus had something his master could never buy, never steal, never break. Control over his own mind. His master could chain his body, but he could not make Epictetus angry. He could not make him bitter. He could not reach inside his head and rearrange his thoughts. And that untouchable inner freedom terrified a man who had power over everything else. A slave who was freer than his master. An emperor who was quieter than his servants. 2 men separated by centuries and by every possible measure of worldly power. And they arrived at the exact same truth, that the only real power is the power you have over yourself. I remember those 2 lines, the ones I mentioned near the beginning, the most powerful entry Marcus Aurelius ever wrote in that journal. The ones I said could explain everything. Here they are. You have power over your mind. Not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's it. That's the entire philosophy, 2,300 years of wisdom. Thousands of pages of writing, centuries of practice, debate, refinement, and lived experience. And it all comes down to those two sentences. You have power over your mind. Not the traffic, not the economy, not what they said about you, not what they did to you, not the diagnosis, not the betrayal, not the silence of someone who should have stayed. You have power over your mind. That is your territory. That is your empire. And no one, no storm, no loss, no human being, no twist of fate can take it from you unless you hand it over. Realize this, and you will find strength. Not happiness, not comfort, not the absence of pain, strength. The kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself. The kind that sits quietly in the center of the hurricane and does not flinch. The kind the world will never understand. Because the world measures strength in noise, and this strength makes no sound at all. So here is what I want you to carry with you when this video ends and the screen goes dark and you return to your life. To the arguments, the doubts, the 2 a.m. anxieties, the people who don't understand you, the weight of everything you're holding that no one else can see. The next time someone tries to break you, with words, with silence, with betrayal, with absence, with the specific cruelty of knowing exactly where you're vulnerable and pressing there, remember this: you are not the event. You are the response. You have always been the response, and the response is yours to choose. The next time the world gets loud, and it will, get quiet. Not because you're afraid, not because you have nothing to say, because you've realized something that changes everything, that your peace is not negotiable, that your silence is not emptiness. It is a weapon they will never understand. But the stillness inside you is not weakness. It is the thing that makes you untouchable. You were never weak. Not when you stayed quiet. Not when you walked away. Not when you chose peace over war and the world called you soft. You were practicing something ancient, something powerful, something that emperors struggled with and slaves mastered, and philosophers spent lifetimes trying to put into words. You were Stoic before you knew the word. And now you know. Silence is power. If this video found you at the right moment, if something in these words reached a part of you that needed it today, subscribe. There is more coming. And if you know someone who is carrying something heavy right now, someone who has been too quiet for too long and thinks that means they're weak, send this to them. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for another human being is show them they are not alone in the silence.